Hey, I'm Coach Scott with Buddy Pegs, and I want to talk to you about picking the right bike for your 3-year-old child. All right, the first bike I'm going to talk about looks awesome. I mean, come on, we got tassels coming out of the handlebars, we got a basket, looks like this could even be deployed as a cart, sparkles, lots of cool colors, but there are some major problems with this bike that I want to talk to you about. Now, this bike is commonly found at some of the bigger stores that you might go to that sell a lot of kids' bikes. And if you're looking at the signage at the store, it might say, you know, perfect for a 3-year-old. But there are some drawbacks to this type of bike. Okay, first of all, the training wheels. Now, the training wheels can be removed, but just remember, training wheels don't actually teach balance. They teach the opposite of balance. So training wheels allow a child to tilt the wrong way, opposite of what balance really is used to accomplish. So a training wheel actually sets the internal gyroscope of balance the incorrect way. So bikes like this are built really short lengthwise for reasons I don't really know or can't explain, and really tall this way, also for reasons I really can't explain. Maybe it has something to do with training wheels, but it makes it really awkward for a child to learn how to ride. First of all, when a child at 3 years old, or even at 4 years old, sits on a bike like this, they often can't put their feet on the ground. Fine for riding with training wheels, but if you want to actually teach a child to ride without training wheels, it's nearly impossible because they can't put their feet on the ground and stabilize themselves. When they're also riding on the bike, the handlebars are really close to them. So they look really scrunched up, and it becomes really dangerous for them to turn and control the bike, and super awkward and not very fun to ride. Well, there's a handful of bike companies out there, and really only a handful, that are doing it right in our opinion. So I have 2 examples here, one from Womb Bikes and one from Prevelo Bikes, both built with optimized geometry for a 3-year-old child, and a lot of safety features that you might not notice upon first glance. You'll notice that both of these bikes are a little bit longer. So there's a lot more room for a child to breathe and be able to reach for the handlebars without feeling all scrunched up. It's a really big safety issue that you really have to keep in mind. They also are a lot lower to the ground. So a 3-year-old child standing over this bike of common height, average height, is going to be able to at least put their tippy toes on the ground, if not all the way flat-footed. Now, when you're sizing a child for a bike, it's not always going to line up perfectly that at 3 years old, every single child is going to be on this size bike. But I'll tell you, having worked with literally thousands of kids, most 3-year-olds are going to be on this wheel size, this 14-inch wheel size. And it also has handbrakes. So, back in the day, it used to be common that all kids' bikes had only the pedal backwards brake. And I think that was also considered to be safer at some point. The reason why is because kids' handbrakes hadn't developed well. They were really low quality, they didn't have good lightweight action, and they didn't really stop a child. So the Consumer Product Safety Commission said, no, we don't like that. We're gonna make sure that you always have a coaster brake on a child's bike of this size. Nowadays, kids' handbrakes are fit to their hand size, they're incredibly light action, and they're really powerful and really strong. Not too strong, but strong enough to stop a child in an emergency braking situation and give them the confidence to really, again, control the bike on their own. Think about it, developmentally. How hard do you think it is for a child to think in the moment of needing to brake, oh, I'm pedaling forward, but now I need to stop that rotation and reverse it and go backwards in order to stop? It's not easy. It's really hard for them to figure that out. So with the handbrakes, we start teaching handbraking at 2 years old, and kids get it really quick. And then what you get with the handbrake is you also get what's called a freewheel. So notice how this bike, the cranks spin backwards and it doesn't activate a brake. Same thing over here, this Prevelo, that's a freewheel. The only way you can get a freewheel is with a bike with handbrakes. When a child is learning how to pedal for the first time, they have to be able to clock their pedal around to get into a starting position. So if you have a bike like this, with a coaster brake and the child wants to get their pedal forward to start pedaling, it's really hard. They almost have to pedal the bike forward in order to get that pedal in the right position. If their pedal winds up at the bottom, it's really hard for them to get it back around to the top to get started again. So they struggle to even get going before they even start pedaling. With a freewheel, they can independently rotate their pedals backwards, get the pedals right where they want them to be, and start pushing off and pedaling on their own. Plus, when you have a freewheel, you also can level out your cranks when you're going downhill and keep the pedals from being straight up and down. That's a skill that really comes into play later on when kids start riding off-road, exploring mountain biking or some variable terrain. You want them to be able to stand on their pedals with feet level to the ground. If they've been riding a coaster brake bike for a long time, that's a really ingrained habit to keep one foot up and one foot down, and it's a big safety issue. Okay, one other thing I want to point out is that these bikes are incredibly light. That extra weight advantage makes a big difference for a child, especially at this age and this size. Because a lot of times, their bike is going to be on the ground, and they need to pick it up. And they should be able to pick it up on their own. And that develops a lot of self-confidence and a lot of internal resilience that carries forward in life in so many different ways. And it's easier for you learning it in and out of the car too. You'll notice that these bikes here, I don't have any pedals on them. So a 2-year-old child who has been on a balance bike might feel a little nervous going up to a 14-inch wheel bike with pedals on it, even if they're ready for it. Well, the answer is you can treat any bike like a balance bike. So when your child turns 3 years old, get them a 14-inch wheel bike. Don't worry if they can pedal or not yet. Just take the pedals off. But you'll have them on the right wheel size. When you keep them on a 12-inch wheel balance bike after 3 years old, there's a big safety issue there. Their center of mass is so far above the wheel that the bike's not actually safe for them anymore. So if you see a child on a balance bike or any bike and the seat post is way, way up tall, that's a really big red flag that they're ready for that next wheel size bike. And remember, if you buy your child a bike right on their birthday, you'll get the most life out of that bike. But the reality is, at these younger ages, it's 1 year. You're gonna get 1 year out of a bike. So just get in the habit of buying on the birthdays. 3 years old, 14-inch wheel bike. 4th birthday, 16-inch wheel bike. And you'll be in good shape. If you can, spend a little bit of extra money, get a nicer quality bike at every wheel size, and I think you'll see the rewards for years to come. All right, thanks for listening. Keep your thumbs up and the rubber side down.